In business, there's no room for guesswork. Every shipment matters. Every deadline counts. When you're trying to keep operations running smoothly, the last thing you need is uncertainty. That's why reliability is at the core of USPS Ground Advantage. From the moment your package is first scanned in, it moves through a secure nationwide network, aiding in a timely and accurate delivery. You get near real-time tracking so you can keep up with your shipments. And with affordable upfront pricing, there are no hidden fees or surprise surcharges to throw off your cost sheets. It all adds up to predictable deliveries you can depend on. Because knowing your logistics are handled lets you focus on everything else: your customers, your team, and the future you're building. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to start shipping with confidence. USPS, official shipping sponsor of the NHL.
This is Money Moves on VSiN, the sports betting network.
What's going on, everybody? Kicking off hour 2 here. Money Moves live from downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. Stormy, Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you, holding it down. Fresh off of what was a national championship dub for the Michigan Wolverines last night. They win, do not cover the 6.5. UConn's tear, ATS, continues 19-1 now, dating back to 2023. The total does stay under. If you had Elliot Cadeau for MOP, cash it. But JVT, from one major event to another, we got Masters Week kicking off this week. How pumped are you?
Quite literally. I love, like, I told this to Mitch today. I actually really do love golf. As much as we're joking about the lack of betting on these tournaments, in terms of watching and enjoying the sport and whatnot, from the beginning of a tournament to the end, if you were to force me to watch it, I really do like it. And these majors obviously have everything. So I am very much looking forward to this getting started later this week, watching it all day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, seeing what's going on, and tracking these golfers and what they're going to do. As we mentioned at the top of the show, I've got some outrights already, add some top fives and some more as we get a little bit closer. But yeah, I'm really excited. I cannot wait to get this thing started on Thursday.
Well, and to your point about enjoying watching golf, in my opinion, you can disagree if you want, I don't think that there is a better televised golf event than at Augusta.
I don't have enough in my data bank to disagree, so I'll just say, yeah, okay. I agree.
Yes, finally, you agree with me on something.
I mean, I'm not,
there is a guy.
In terms of like the intricacies of the broadcast and whatnot, I feel like all the golf tournaments generally are the same, but I get it.
Yeah, I don't think that there's
visually, there's not many courses outside of, like, so I'm kind of a, miserable person. Fair. So I aesthetically like the British Opens a lot because I like.
You want to wake up as early as possible, make everyone miserable.
Oh well, not that, but like I do like the early get up times. But I like the cloudy, the overhang. I like links golf by the shore. You know what I mean? Like those kind of things are pretty cool.
That's something Eeyore would love. So that totally checks.
Lots of. Right, I was going to.
Well, obviously, we're going to give our breakdown of the Masters here, but coming up in about 30 minutes, Christopher Powers of Golf Digest is going to join us. Give us some of his favorite plays, some angles, the specific stats that he looks for in an event like this. About 48 hours away, less than, before that first peg put in the ground, we get going. Rory McIlroy, your defending champ after his historic win last year. He's fourth on the board. JVT entering this week near 12-1 as he looks to become the first repeat winner since Tiger Woods in the early 2000s. Scotty Scheffler, a two-time winner at Augusta, your favorite at near 5-1-ish. In addition to going through the card, though, I do just want to point out, not that I have any plays as of right now in some of these markets, but there are so many different available markets for an event like this as well because of how highly publicized it is. Yes, you have outrights in your standard derivative markets, but looking through top American, top Brit, top Canadian, top amateur, debutante, you got tournament groups, make, miss the cut. Will there be a wire-to-wire winner, first-time winner, hole-in-one winning margin? There's a lot of different angles that you can attack for an event like this, which is very fun. Also, as I know you pointed out in our rundown, experience matters here, and there's some data that you have to back that up.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Dave Tyndall, who puts this out every single year over there. You can find it at Betfair. A really great article, U.S. Masters, the 10-year trends that they point to. But look, at the end of the day, even before we get to some of these trends, for the most part, we know that experience just matters in a course like this. This is a tournament that has a long course history. Lots of guys have played a ton of rounds here. And so playing on the course actually matters. Having experience on the course actually matters. But what we're talking about here is some really good course histories for some of these guys that are here. And I always like to point to this just because it gives you an idea. But if we're looking at true strokes gained over the course of the rounds that are played, Ludwig Aberg has a very short course history here of only 8 rounds. But he is absolutely leading the field right now in terms of true strokes gained on that small sample size. So you keep that in mind. He's currently sitting at 17-1. We know what Scotty Scheffler can do. A true strokes gain of about plus 3.3 over the course of 24 rounds. Your favorite at plus 490. These odds courtesy of DraftKings. Again, shop around, as we always say. Spieth is a guy that I can never really quit at Augusta for the most part. We're talking about 44 rounds, and of these golfers, if you sort by true strokes gained, the third best in terms of true strokes gained over the course of a very large sample size. Spieth is generally a guy that I'll probably always put on the card at Augusta, only because he has the history here. And at this time, too, we're talking about some odds that generally do not reflect where he was in his heyday, right? 42-1 in that range for Spieth to win this thing. Rahm, who we could get to in detail a little bit more, because there are a lot of indicators that Rahm might be the guy this year. That is a really good form, fourth most in terms of true strokes gained over 36 rounds. And then Colin Morikawa, who we can dovetail off of nicely here, 24 rounds, fifth most in terms of true strokes gained of these golfers, floating in the range of 31-1. But we've got some potential issues for Colin Morikawa as we head into Augusta.
Well, and let's hear from him right now because, yes, he has been dealing with a back injury. He's taken it day by day, but here is he on his back, body, and where his game's at right now.
Yeah, the honest truth is, I'm taking it day by day. It's not exactly where I want to be, and it's unfortunate, but that's just the body, and I can't push it. It's been a little bit of a mental battle. I think just trying to trust with where it's at. The back actually feels fine. It's just other parts of the body, not cooperating a little bit how I want.
How much have you been able to practice?
Yeah, I've been hitting balls for the past week. Okay. So, I ended up pulling out of Valera last week and was able to hit balls and continue to play. But there's a comfort level, and this isn't a place where you want to be uncomfortable. But sometimes you got to find other ways to get around a golf course. So I'm kind of, making a different game plan than I think I've come in the past.
Well, and at least to your point, he does have the course history comfort as a part of this. He is on a run of 5 straight top 20 finishes at Augusta. It's the second best score to par in that span.
So what I find interesting is his quote there, which is, the back feels fine. It's the rest of the body that I feel like is not cooperating. We're, ballparking what he said right there. But that to me is pretty interesting in the fact of, all right, like what if the back is okay? And we see this all the time in sports where we're worried about an injury, and then a guy comes out and
it ends up being nothing.
Right, nothing. Just absolutely dominates. He's perfectly fine. And given Morikawa and where he's at with the course history, true strokes gained, all of these sort of things, he's definitely, if I were to remove the back injury, he'd probably be near the top of the list for a lot of people, potentially including to win this thing over at Augusta, top 10s, top 5s, things of that nature. So I think adding Morikawa in one of those markets, top 10, top 5, might be kind of worth it. The end of the quote, too, is pretty interesting as well when you talk about getting around a golf course. We've seen and heard from golfers before about when you have an injury, it's not even so much sometimes the torque of the swing or doing those sort of things. It's getting around the golf course at times that maybe will get you. I think it's Tiger Woods who has mentioned before that when he's had his back issues, walking the course is just one of the things that really does kind of get to you and wears you down over the course of especially 4 rounds of golf that you have to play. So there's obviously a risk with Morikawa, but given the way that he's priced, he's in that range of 30-1, and some of the prices you're getting on top 5 or top 10, maybe even top 20, I do think that maybe it's worth looking in some of those other markets to potentially maybe take a small risk on Morikawa in some way, shape, or form, even with this injury.
To put some of the numbers to that, top 10 plus 215, top 5 in the 5-1 plus 480 range available. And as you said, 30-1, 31-1 in the outright market. Only he and Scotty Scheffler, by the way, have finished top 20 in each of the last 5 Masters. Scheffler, Jeff Sherman at the Superbook had an interesting quote about the support for Scotty Scheffler recently, saying that it's waned. The first round difficulties, quote, this season have caused bettors to shy away from the larger wagers on him so far. If lack of support continues, he says he wouldn't hesitate to head towards 6-1 at this point. The preferred winners are actually he and Rory McIlroy, among others, to repeat. Scheffler, JVT, 101 under par in his major tournament career, which is the best all time. But this season, as we hear from Sherman there, and we've seen hot and cold first round struggles. Yeah. He enters this week on his longest winless drought in nearly 4 years. What do you do with him?
I don't know. I mean, because as Sherman mentions there, and shout out to Patrick Everson, who got those quotes for his articles over there at Vegas Insider, like the price is not there, coupled with the struggles that I think you feel really comfortable diving in, right? I mean, I feel like you want to avoid it, but then we're going to be watching, and what's going to happen?
He's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, so unless the first round struggles, like there's actually something there. We know that there was a point where he had to withdraw from one of the tournaments, so I don't know if maybe we don't really know everything about these guys in terms of whether it's health, personal issues, and everything in between. So all I know is that a guy that is still being somewhat priced as he is in his dominant form is not that. And so I feel like you maybe don't want to go against him, but I don't know if you're including him here as well at shorter than 5-1. And like, think about that. Just saying that I'm willing to stare death in the face and move him to 6-1 to win this thing. Like, that's insane.
Would you be interested, whether it be pre-flop or live, potentially, depending on how the first round goes, to dive into some of those top 10 and top 5 derivative markets, though? Because T7 or better in each of his last 5 major starts. We know that he's always in the mix at the very least.
I mean, or do you just sit back and wait if the first round struggles continue? And then we've talked about that.
That's what I'm saying, or live.
Yeah, live. I think is the way maybe there's obviously a risk there, because if he goes wire to wire and he's just great, just right from the start, that's fine. And, again, you talk about course history, guys that have performed there, he's up there. But if you go back to what we were talking about from Tyndall, if it's some of his trends that he puts together here that gives you a scale of what these guys look at and the most playable ones, Scheffler's down a little bit further down the list with 67 points, or just ahead of just Xander Schauffele, Hideki Matsuyama, and Patrick Cantlay. He's not really up there according to Tyndall's trends over the last 10 years that he puts together each year of the strong guys that are worth putting on there on his scale. So I think it sounds like maybe it's one where you're trying to short Scheffler in some different ways. Maybe not playing exactly against him, but just playing in some different markets or playing on different guys other than Scheffler.
Forgive me because we're running out of time, but real quickly, what did you want to say about Jon Rahm, since I dovetailed another way earlier?
Oh, we can get to it at the end of the show. I think that he's just like the guy. I think this is the dude. I mean, according to Tyndall's article here in his system, Rahm's the dude. 76 points on his scale to get it done, and I would agree with that considering everything we know about Jon Rahm and given his form, all of that in between. 2023
Masters champ, of course, as well. The one concern, I guess, would be recent major form, finishing 34th or worse, just one top 5 over the course of that recent history. Do want to let you know, though, real quickly, we got free picks backed by real analysis at Just Win Bets, baby. Mathematical models, AI-driven best bets across whether it be the NFL, college hoops, NBA, NHL, getting closer to the postseason, UFC, soccer, and so much more. Plus, a live weekend preview each and every Friday. You can subscribe to Just Win Bets, baby on YouTube, follow them on X, and get their free daily best bets newsletter available at justwinbetsbaby.com. Again, that's Just Win Bets, baby. We got to step aside. When we come back, diving into a little National Hockey League, maybe get some more NBA talk in, and then again, we'll continue our Masters coverage with Christopher Powers of Golf Digest coming up at 12:30 Pacific. We'll be right back.
So you're listening to this podcast because you want an edge. But what if I told you you're only halfway there? You've got the mindset. Now it's time to get the toolkit to match. Here's the thing. Pro bettors spend thousands on data and tools. But what they don't want you to know is that you can get the same edge for a fraction of the cost with VSiN Pro. VSiN Pro gives you access to expert picks, public betting data, prop projections, powerful tools, analytics, and more. Just tap the link in the description and see why thousands of bettors are already using VSiN Pro to cash more bets.
Cold takes? Not here. It's time to puck around and find out.
Yeah, we are. Let's get to it back here on Money Moves. 11-game slate coming up in the National Hockey League. Yesterday, a lot of fun in the Western Conference. We talked a lot about where the standings currently sit in the wild card race. Kings, Preds, Sharks, and Jets all managed to collect at least 1 point as that race continues. Kudos to you. Your Kings dub gets through, but it went to overtime. And we talked about all those Kings overtimes games. The plus 300 regulation draw comes through.
Yes. A quick diversion really quick. And just say I very much like our little intro there. And I'll make a reference that you and maybe most of our audience won't understand. But Toe Jam and Earl, do you understand that reference at all?
No.
Anybody back there? Toe Jam and Earl? Nothing?
You lost me.
Interesting. Well, very Toe Jam and Earl-esque type soundtrack. Very much enjoy it.
Is that a band?
No. Yeah, Luke's down. All right, Toe Jam and Earl. No, thumbs down. What? Nothing? Come on now. The 1991 Sega Genesis Classic? Come on now. So Toe Jam and Earl, fantastic.
Oh, I forgot, because I know you don't like things before your birth year, but you're older than me. So are you a 90 in 89? What are you?
90? Older than you. I'm like 2.5 years older than you.
Yeah, but that's 91 because I'm 92. So I was like, you don't do anything before you were born. I had to double check the math.
Good call, John, on the Rangers, or excuse me, the Predators and the Kings getting it done. Not high scoring, though. That was the other angle, right? Which was like, hey, maybe this could be a higher scoring game, but elected with the Kings because situationally it's just really tough for Nashville, you would think. I mean, they've played a lot of high leverage games, and I don't know if that was the reason why, but we'll say it was. And the Kings get it done in the shootout.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. Something else that we talked about, though, and what kept me off of the total was exactly what we said, that like, well, maybe this does have more of a playoff-like feel, and that was why the total was set at 5.5 ultimately. Kings, though, with that win, do get back into a playoff spot with the win. Sharks and Jets are still within 2-3 points of that playoff line. Nashville, second half of back-to-back against Anaheim. That's a big one, especially for the West, but Anaheim trying to get back into the top spot in the Pacific Division as well. So a lot of layers from that standpoint. Also, last night, the Sabres beat the Lightning in regulation 4-2. So both of them now are in the top spot in the Atlantic Division with 102 points. 5 teams tonight in the Eastern Conference wildcard race in action, all also separated by 3 points or fewer. So the next 9 days as we close out the regular season in the National Hockey League should be really fun as we figure out who's going to fill out these spots.
And who are we pulling for tonight in the Eastern Conference, Stormy? Come on. You know it. Who do we want to win? The
Columbus Blue Jackets, ladies and germs. You want Detroit to keep dropping. And, like, honestly, it's tough, though, because both Detroit and Columbus have been struggling so much.
Yeah.
Both of them want to win this game, obviously, to climb into that final wildcard spot, but easier said than done. Detroit minus 115, Columbus minus 105. Do you actually have an angle on this game?
No, I just need the Red Wings to lose. It's not a very big one, but at plus 175, Red Wings to miss the playoffs. That was pretty early. I mean, I can't remember when, but they were one of the top seeds. I know they were at the top of their division when I made it.
Yeah, but you did a really good job looking at all the underlying metrics and saying, like, how is this team winning this many games?
Yep. So hopefully that can continue. So the angle here is just, hey, I need the Columbus Blue Jackets to pull this off and lose this game, or excuse me, to win this game. The Red Wings, you talked about it. The form has not really been great. They won 2 straight as part of a 4-game homestand back in the middle of March, but since then they have not strung together consecutive wins. And in fact, you zoom out a little bit more, that was the only time they had won consecutive games since the middle of January.
Yeah.
So I'm pulling for the fact that this form that the Red Wings have found, which is, I think, what you somewhat expected as it went along, that this is going to hold. But as you talked about, both teams are kind of flailing at this point. I don't know if I can trust Columbus to get it done, but desperately needed to get done here for the Blue Jackets. It's part of a tough schedule down the stretch, kind of, right? I mean, we're talking about a road trip getting started here. It's Detroit, Buffalo, Montreal. Then you wrap up with home games against Boston and Washington.
Also, at least to help you out potentially for the Red Wings, it is third game of 4 nights for them. Yeah. So maybe that'll bode well from that standpoint. They've lost back-to-back games, 4 of 5. 6 of the last 8. Columbus, though, to your point, being untrustworthy, they've dropped 6 straight of their own and 7 of their last 8 after we talked about how improved they had been with the change to Rick Bowness and different things. Obviously, here down the stretch, that's taken a back seat. Still, both of these teams, 2 points back of Ottawa for that second wild card spot right now. So a big head-to-head in terms of the Eastern Conference for that one. I don't have a play on the side and nothing I officially put in the account. But I do lean over in this game as well at 6.5. I know we just talked about the Kings and Predators about how, hey, maybe it's a more like playoff style of game, but I think this could be one where we have a lot of open ice out there. So it's juiced. Okay. It's juiced under because of that idea. I think that it could be tighter checking, but I see potential for an over and a lot of goals to be scored. Okay, so then my question, because there is a game that it's not really necessarily an angle, but similar to yesterday, just kind of talk out some thoughts, and it's actually the same team. Again, this is a tough spot for Nashville, is it not? Yes. This is your third game in 4 nights, the second leg of a back-to-back as well. You played, we talked about it yesterday in the shootout. Now you have to play Anaheim, who has all the motivation in the world to continue to get this done. Total 6.5. It's actually shaded to the over at minus 120. I would assume you have a better read on this. Back-to-back goaltender change here potentially for Nashville? Okay. You would think, expect? I would expect. I haven't seen, let me pull up Daily Faceoff because I haven't seen confirmed. It seems too easy to go back to the well and play against Nashville one more time. There's a couple like $1.35s out there, including one of the spots that we're sitting here at Circa, but I mean, it seems like this is, again, a spot to play against Nashville. This is a playoff-type atmosphere. You've played a lot of high-leverage hockey. You lost a tough one in an extra period yesterday. You got to travel to go to Anaheim. I know it's not the largest travel stretch to go from LA to Anaheim. You're probably in the same spot. But either way, seems like a lot of moving parts and a really tough stretch for Nashville. And I thought like $1.35 seems somewhat fair. Yeah, it's growing, though. There is, I think, to your point, a lot of more trust in Anaheim, despite them being on a 5-game losing streak right now, but a good bounce back opportunity. And while it is the goaltending still unconfirmed, it is likely that UC Saros is going to sit down. Lucas Dostal is confirmed, though, in net for Anaheim. And I understand the money movement on the Ducks in this spot. They're second in the Pacific right now, tied with Edmonton in points at 87. Vegas 1 point back in third. They've got the Canucks tonight, so a good opportunity for Vegas potentially to climb against the worst team in the NHL. Can they make it 4 in a row under John Tortorella? Also, Edmonton in action tonight as part of the Pacific, as I brought it up yesterday, but Connor McDavid has coined the pillow fight that they've got going on right now to see who's ultimately going to win this thing. They're at Utah, which should the standings remain where they are right now, this would be that first round matchup. Edmonton, they had that ugly loss to Vegas over the weekend. Can they rebound? This is a team they've had a lot of success against, 5-0 all time against the Mammoth, outscored them by margin, 26-10 in that time. Each of the last 4 games head to head by 3+ goals, including both this season. Yes, one of them was back in October, 6-3, but the other one more recently, just a couple weeks ago in Utah. Edmonton gets the win 5-3. Something that was really problematic for Edmonton against Vegas that I think they get corrected against Utah is allowing the Golden Knights to score off the rush and be able to do things in transition. That's not something typically that has been an issue for them, especially recently. Looking through some of their more recent games, they gave up 3 goals on 14 attempts off the rush against Vegas. They had only given up 3 in their previous 6 games combined. So if they can tighten that up, this should be a good opportunity for them potentially today. Even as an underdog, the power play that has been the best in the league all season is really, really struggling. So I'm curious if that's something they can be able to catch a little lightning in a bottle on the road or not. 1 for 17 the last 8 games. Obviously, no Leon Draisaitl makes a big difference in that. The only game I actually have, there's 2 games that I have bets in today that I really like, but one of them, Florida and Montreal. Okay. There were a couple angles on the game that I was trying to talk myself into. Wasn't really sure what I wanted to ultimately do. Ended up rolling with Cole Caulfield for an anytime goal. And I know for an anytime goal, you want more bang for your buck. It's only even money. That was the best price I could still find this morning. Other places, you're getting as far out as -110 for a goal, which is awful. But he hasn't scored in either of the last 2 games. He has not gone 3 straight without a goal since January. And this is a Florida team that is giving up goals in bunches right now. Obviously, they don't have anything to play for, eliminated from postseason contention here. They're sitting guys. Montreal puck line was an angle I was looking at potentially, but Cole Caulfield ultimately was the way that I settled on it. And then in the other ESPN national game of the day, Flyers Devils, I think the Flyers at a plus money price are the way to go in this one. They're third in the Metro right now. First time they've been in a playoff spot since January. But this is a really important game for them to strengthen that position. Devils don't have a lot to play for. It's the 3rd game in 4 nights for them as well after getting a win over Montreal on Sunday. They're at home. They're favored. It's not like they can't win this game, but the Flyers won both of the matchups with New Jersey earlier this season. They're playing really good hockey right now, JVT. Looking through the numbers since February 27th, coming out of the Olympic break, 14-6. They're top 4 in the league in points percentage in that time. 2nd fewest goals allowed per game in that time as well. Vladar in net for Philly, despite having some recent struggles. He's only given up 1 goal in each of his last 2 games. So getting a plus 105 price on this team right now that is going to do everything in their power to cement their position into the postseason, I think is a good angle.
I like it. Makes a ton of sense. I think you should be proud of me. I've been watching. I'm getting geared up. Or the NHL postseason's here. I got the best deal last year in the Stanley Cup, and
you still have yet to buy my bald cap because I am one to pay my bets. But you said that you were going to purchase the.
I think we'll have to change the wager.
You don't? Why?
I get the feeling that our bosses don't like our shenanigans.
All right. By the way, so the NHL postseason upon us, like I said, just 9 days left. The NBA postseason is almost here. This is the final week of the regular season. VSiN has all the tools you need to bet smarter right now. No subscription needed either. Head over to vsin.com, get free betting splits from DraftKings and Circa, plus free MLB and NBA prop projections. Or if you do want to come join us on a full-time basis, you can sign up for just $9.99 your first 30 days. Save 50% with an annual subscription. vsin.com/subscribe for more information.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
And we're back. Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, Sirius XM Channel 158.
Stop the presses.
What?
We have somebody outside that has been demanding Stormy Buonantony's autograph. According to our production crew, for the last 15 minutes, he has been sitting outside and just pounding on the glass, hoping for a chance to just get a whiff of Stormy Buonantony.
Stop.
Stormy's got to leave early, though, and she will not, of course, acquiesce and give him what he demands. She's a big star.
That's not true.
And that is very heartbreaking.
Now you're just lying to people.
So it sucks, but if you want to talk to Stormy, she's too good. Now, somebody who is not good enough for his fans, Chris Powers is with us here, senior writer for Golf Digest. Chris, I assume that anytime somebody wants your autograph that you would take the opportunity to do so because it's an honor to do what we do.
You know, it hasn't happened yet, but the day it does, I'm going to pull out a pen out of my pocket and I'll be ready to sign every autograph that somebody asks for.
I have the pen in my hand, okay? And yes, it's very nice. I appreciate it, but I do have to hustle out of here. So I was like, can you just give it to me now? But Chris, we are very excited to have you on because obviously it's Masters Week. We got a ton to get into over there at Augusta. Scottie Scheffler, your favorite, to be expected because even with the winless drought that he's on right now, everybody still knows at the peak of his game what his capabilities are. Plus 495, 5-1. That's the price you're getting on him, even in what has been such a down season. What are your grades? What's your thought on Scottie Scheffler going into this week?
I mean, if, we talked about this a month or two ago, he was probably 250, 2-1. So I think some people probably think it's a really nice looking price right now. I think there is legitimate concern with his approach play. And I think it's not just a small sample size that he's kind of pointed to. It's a large sample size now. Even when he won at the Amex, the iron play wasn't all that good. But he's had a few weeks off. He just had another baby. Obviously, he's probably had not a ton of sleep recently, but his mind's been off golf. No one would be surprised if he shows up this week and he's taken these last few weeks to kind of fix that iron play. And I mean, he could be 4 under through 4 on Thursday morning and we'd all be saying, yeah, that's exactly kind of what I expected.
What about Kyle Morikawa, Chris? Because we played a clip from him about 15, 20 minutes ago. He talked about the back. I thought it was interesting. He said the back feels fine. It's just the other parts of the body and mentioned getting around the course. What do you think about Morikawa's health and going into this, what we might see from him?
Yeah, it scares me, especially after another withdrawal last week in Texas. And you mentioned kind of the whole body. He's saying he's having trouble reacting. This is a very difficult golf course to walk, very hilly, as everyone knows, even people who are watching on TV. So now that price has drifted a little bit, and he was one of the best iron players in the world when he pulled out of the Players. If his back is feeling good, he's certainly a threat, but I'm just a little cautious over betting Collin Morikawa this week.
Rory McIlroy, the defending champ, he had an event recently. Obviously, he had to withdraw to back spasms himself. The last time we saw him, T46, but he kind of rounds out that top 4 that we see on the board. So you have Scheffler, Jon Rahm, Bryson DeChambeau, and McIlroy. Is there anybody among that crew that you think could go on to really win it that you really like this week?
Yeah, so I'm pretty pot committed on Bryson DeChambeau at this golf tournament. I've bet him the last 2 years. He's gone T6 and T5. That was after missing the cut in consecutive years. So you never fully figure out Augusta National, but it does seem like he's getting pretty close to doing that. And we kind of talked about all these guys at the top. There's some question marks around all of them, I'd argue, except maybe Jon Rahm, who's playing really well as his live counterpart. So I think this one's kind of there for the taking for Bryson. And there's a lot of talk. If you look at the forecast for this week, it's going to play super firm and fast. Bryson pointed this out. He won at Pinehurst. It was super firm and fast, hitting to the center of every green, giving himself a 30-foot putt for birdie and taking his pars. So that could play really into his favor this week. I like Bryson a lot, and that number has now, I've seen, drifted to 12-1, so I like it even more right now.
All right, what about Brooks Koepka and your expectations for him this weekend?
Yeah, I ended up betting Brooks. I think it was Saturday morning of the Valspar when he was back into real contention for the first time in a while. Sort of had a quiet weekend, made a couple of double bogeys, and then he went on to miss the cut in Houston. A little bit of a fluky miscut. He's still the second-ranked approach player on the PGA Tour this year. It did feel like he was starting to build towards something. I know he said he wanted to really get in the heat on a back 9 before this week. That did not happen. But he gets up for these weeks. This is a major championship. He wants to kind of reinsert himself into the conversation of all the guys we just mentioned at the top of the board here. And I think this is a great week for him to do it.
Christopher Power, senior writer over at Golf Digest, joining us here on the Progressive Guest Line. We were talking in the commercial break, and you said one long shot that you really liked this week, Jacob Bridgman. I'm seeing him available at 84-1 in the outright market. What about his skill set and form do you like coming into this week?
I mean, literally everything. The guy has been, I would argue, a top 5 player on the PGA Tour this year. And, you know, he's down there. You mentioned 84-1. I saw 94-1 Monday morning before I hopped on my flight from New Jersey, so was able to get a little taste of that. One of the best iron players on tour. He's an elite putter. And there's a nice corollary with guys who win at Riviera playing very well at Augusta National that same year. And Jacob Bridgman obviously did that. He took down Rory McIlroy at Riviera earlier this year. So I think he's by far the most undervalued player in the field, given how well he's played in 2026. And guys, over the last 6-7 years, the guys who have won here have won in the lead up in the calendar year. So that's why I really like Bridgman this week.
All right, last one of your guys that we can hit, and we'll hit some other topics too. But Robert McIntyre is a name that I've heard quite a bit, and you're there too, right?
Yep. I mean, lefties have obviously done quite well here. Bubba Watson, Phil Mickelson, Bob Max, a lefty, played really well last week. Didn't have his A game on Sunday and still managed to give himself a birdie putt to get into a playoff at Valero. So he's got some good form. And then if you look at his last 2 majors, and if you include the Players, which I would say is a major as well, he's gone 2nd at the U.S. Open at Oakmont, T7 at the Open Championship, and 4th at the Players. So a guy who's really played well in the biggest events over the last year, and has had some decent success here too. He topped 25 in his first 2 starts. So I think Bob Mack this week.
Big picture, obviously you've given us some names to kind of chew on and think through, but we talked a lot about how much, yes, experience at a course like Augusta National obviously matters a lot, but what are some of the other things for people that are kind of going through the board and trying to make their own decisions this week? What should they be looking for in terms of what this course requires?
Well, if it's going to be firm and fast, like the weather forecast says, I think you're going to need to be really good around the greens, because if you're going to miss the greens, you're going to have to get up and down, and the greens are going to be lightning quick, and they're going to be baked out. So it's going to require a really strong short game. And then obviously approach play is always key here. This is a second shot golf course. You got to position yourself off the tee and kind of, again, hit the center of the green with your irons. Don't go at flags. A more conservative approach is going to fare well this week. So I like short game and approach play.
Any names that you've heard that people like that you would disagree with, or any of the big names that you would look to play against in some matchups that you don't like their form coming in, or any other quality that doesn't fit?
Well, Ludwig Åberg has obviously fared quite nicely here in just a couple of starts, but I don't know. I mean, we've all seen how he's kind of handled himself these last 2 Sundays in contention at Valero and the Players' Championship. That scares me a little. And again, like I just said, he's played really well here in his first 2 starts. Sooner or later, this place is going to kick you in the teeth. And I think, I mean, that's just kind of a gut feeling that I have. But Ludwig Åberg, as good as he is, you can't top 5 here every year you play here. So if there is a matchup with Ludwig in it, I might go against him.
Okay, before we let you go, obviously the Champions Dinner is today, and there's always much to do each and every year about the menu. Rory McIlroy put his out earlier this weekend. What's your evaluation? Where did he go right? Where did he go wrong? Or what would you do?
What would I do? I mean, I've given this a lot of thought, Stormy. I thought he nailed it. I think no one's menu will ever touch Hideki Matsuyama's. You can Google that one. That's the best one ever. I thought he nailed it. No real Irish flair, and I noticed he actually had a funny quote that he wanted to enjoy the dinner, which is why there is no Irish flair, but would have liked to see him kind of play on his heritage a little bit there. But no, I think nothing but fastballs down the middle here from Rory McIlroy. I thought he did a bang-up job.
A lot of people were very complimentary about the wine list, and this is how uncultured my palate is. I was like, I don't know anything about any of these wines. Sorry. No.
I'd be ordering a Coors Light off the menu.
Yeah. Yes, my kind of guy. Christopher, always appreciate the time. Thank you so much. Enjoy the weekend.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Christopher Powers, Golf Digest. And that was a really popular answer, though, JVT. Like, a lot of the comments I saw when the Masters put out this menu were very positive. Like, everyone's saying 10 out of 10, no notes. I got to say, I have notes. I have some notes.
Which are?
I don't like fruit with ricotta. I find it very strange. I don't know why people do it. Don't agree with that. I'm not a fan of the tuna carpaccio either. I also don't really eat fish. And I'm not a bacon wrapped dates person. There are definitely some winners on this list, don't get me wrong. But I don't know. I wouldn't say 10 out of 10 no notes.
I like it. I mean, I would eat pretty much everything on the menu. So
elk sliders sound pretty fire. And you're lying because you said in a commercial break earlier that you're like, I don't think it was that great.
No, I disagree with you. I liked it. I think it was Justin you're thinking of. I liked the menu.
No, you liked it, but you didn't say it was the best.
Right, that's what I just said. It's not a 10 out of 10. Like an 8.
You're so glad to be rid of me. You're so glad.
You're kind of a mess today.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
If you got a group chat full of hot takes, Cut was built for you. Cut, a social betting platform that lets you bet directly against your friends and other users on basically anything: sports, politics, pop culture, and even personal bets. Every bet fully customizable and pre-funded, which means no more chasing someone down when they lose, no flaking, no excuses, just results. And unlike traditional betting apps, Cut actually gives you cash back on every single bet you make, even against your friends. Now, you can get a 15% deposit bonus in your first deposit when you use promo code VSiN. Head to cut.com, KUTT.com, or download in the App Store and make sure you use that promo code VSiN. Back on Money Moves, just me, Jonathan Von Tobel, Stormy Buonantony, jetting out a little bit early. She'll be back tomorrow. Don't worry, she's not going off to like Germany or anything like that. She will be back. I had some things to attend to. Couple of updates really quickly before we get to our best bets and wrap the show as we usually do. Do want to start with the game that is currently underway. Still a low-scoring affair out there in Cleveland, and a very cold day at that. Bottom of the ninth inning in a 1-1 tie between Kansas City and Cleveland. This thing went off. If you looked at some of the pre-flop numbers, that total actually closed 6.5 shades to the under at -130 here at Circa. Gavin Williams and the Guardians were a short -118 favorite, pretty much living up to the billing with where the market thought this was going to be. A small increase on the price on Cleveland, and the total got bet under on pre-flop. We'll see if that thing get done. And we previewed this. We are underway between Baltimore and Chicago. Trevor Rogers getting the start for the Baltimore Orioles here at Circa, closed -143. Got ping-ponging back and forth, as high as -153, and then cut back down 10 cents to -143. We have a day game coming up, or an earlier game at least, early afternoon, between Zach Gallen and Freddie Peralta. So let's go there. Arizona and New York set to go at it today, coming up at about 20, 35 minutes from now. -148. The current price right now in favor of the Metropolitans. 7 shaded to the over, -115 the total. That getting bet down, though, from the overnight open of -155 in favor of New York. We got some news lately for the New York Mets. Obviously a little bit more shorthanded in the lineup here, as they placed Juan Soto on the injured list with a calf. That was Monday after he suffered a minor calf strain running the bases Friday against the San Francisco Giants. The expectation is that Soto is going to be sidelined for 2 to 3 weeks. Start to the season fine for Soto, hitting .355, had a homer, 5 runs driven in. So a loss for the Mets in terms of their lineup. As we move forward in the big picture, we'll see how that affects them as the sample size grows. But for right now, looks like a pretty interesting pitching matchup for the Diamondbacks. What you're looking at from off the mound, Gallen has not been good, as we know. But last time out, we talked about this when he had his last start against the Tigers, won a duel with Tarek Skubal. Went out there, pitched 6 innings, faced 21 batters, scattered 4 hits, struck out 2. Big thing for him. He didn't walk anybody in his last start, Gallen. So you do wonder if that's going to be something to look at as you move forward. Now, having said that, in the game, probably deserved a little bit more for some of his transgressions. Gave up 2 barrels. 8 balls were considered hard hit, so a hard hit rate of 42% for the season. 47% of balls hit against him are considered hard hit, and a barrel rate of 14.7% on the year is really high. It's why when you look at some of the numbers underlying with him, 3.60 ERA, but a 4.28 FIP, a 4.36 expected fielding independent, and an expected ERA of 8.14. We've talked to Adam Burke about the intricacies of some of these numbers. Expected ERA really building on some of the contact numbers you see out there, so that's why that one's really inflated. Gallen has given up a lot of hard contact to this point, and if you continue to do that, one would expect that you will pay for that at some point, even against a lineup that does not have Juan Soto out there. As we know, there's plenty of depth for the Mets in their lineup. Freddie Peralta, 10 1/3 so far in the year, but probably, and we know from the number standpoint at least, deserving of a little bit better. The opposite of what Gallen has been up to this point. 4.35 ERA, but a 2.44 expected. Fielding independent at 3.56 as well. Some of the StatCast numbers for him and the batted ball metrics look okay. Just one barrel so far through the 10 1/3 that he has pitched, so do expect that maybe why we see such a hefty price for the Mets is that reason. Gallen has a lot of indicators that he's not going to be particularly great, yet here at Circuit, at the very least, number is dipping. So we'll keep an eye on that one, but that's coming up at 1:10 p.m. Pacific time. Bo Naylor at the plate with a runner on first. See if the Guardians can walk this off here in the bottom of the ninth inning. With that, let's get to best bets, recap what we did yesterday, look ahead to today, a couple of baseball, a couple in the NHL as well. Actually, one in the NHL. We'll recap what Stormy's got too. But from yesterday for myself, a split and a small loss for the day. Marlins money line. This is always the tough part about baseball betting and how you want to attack it and what you want to do. Big part of my handicap was that Jansen Junk was going to be able to go out there yesterday and give us a shot to potentially win that game if you're the Miami Marlins against a soft-hitting Reds lineup. Well, guess what? Junk did exactly what we needed him to do. 7 1/3, 7 hits, just gave up 2 earned runs, struck out 3. But the lone blemish is ultimately the difference, 2 runs, and guess what? It's a 2-0 final that the Reds get. Marlins give him absolutely nothing in terms of run support there. So a loss for the Marlins, and then the Kings money line, we hit this with Stormy, minus 130, they get it done. And what I thought was a good spot against the Nashville Predators, we will build on that Predators angle here in our best bets for today. So for tonight, Ducks. Yes, the Anaheim Ducks, we will bet them minus 135 tonight. Look, there is not much in terms of strong analysis when you're looking at Corsi for percentage and expected goals against. I think this is just a bad spot for the Nashville Predators. We have hit on how much hockey they have played here over the last couple of days. It has been quite the schedule. You play Saturday night, you get Sunday off. You have to go out to L.A. on Monday to play the Kings last night in a tough shootout. Then you turn back around to play Anaheim here today. Ducks money line minus 135 seems like a fair price considering where Nashville's been out. Maybe a change in goal is good. Saros has not really been great, but do think situationally this warrants another play against Nashville considering the schedule they've been on. And think about this too. Stretch it back to Thursday of last week, the 2nd. You had a shootout win over Los Angeles. You had the back and forth affair Saturday night against the Sharks. Then you wrap this road trip at LA and then at Anaheim before you go to Utah on Thursday. Thankfully, a day off, but third game of 4 nights, second leg of a back-to-back, and a lot of high-leverage hockey will play against the spot for Nashville tonight. Also, in Major League Baseball, 2 plays for today. Let's go back to the well one more time and give this a shot and fade the Cincinnati Reds. We will take on our boy, Andrew Abbott. We like this guy. Justin, we've talked about him before. Mike Palm and I have talked about him, but there are the signs of some regression here coming for Andy Abbott. 3.09 ERA, a 4.63 expected ERA through 11 2/3. The strikeout rate down this year from a season ago, and it wasn't even dominant. 18.8% strikeout rate. Walk rate is up, so some small command issues, but continues to get away with some murder here. Don't think that's going to continue, so we'll play against Abbott. And on the other side, we get Sandy Alcantara, who's going to get the start for Miami. Alcantara off to a pretty good start through 16 innings pitched so far. A flat ERA of 0 at 1.44 expected. Contact numbers are pretty solid. And again, I don't like this Reds lineup. Do think that Alcantara is going to do some damage. If we lose another like 1-0 type game, it'll be aggravating. But Marlins minus 140. And as we talked about with Adam Burke when he was with us earlier today too, we'll go with the Rangers today as they are small dogs to the Seattle Mariners. Even money. Eovaldi has looked awful through the early going. This is a buy low opportunity potentially for the Texas Rangers, a team that I'm really high on in the big picture. Eovaldi in the early going, he's had a lot of trouble, especially with the home runs. But do think that back at home here, you're going to get an opportunity to keep the ball in the park a little bit more. I think that some of the home run numbers will calm down a little bit for him. The other stuff is still pretty good. Whiff rate, strikeout rate, all of those things are still there for Eovaldi. Just a little bit worse in terms of the command, and the home runs have bitten him. But if you can keep this in and get a little bit luckier on balls in play, 481 batting average on balls in play, then I do think that you're going to have an opportunity to bounce back nicely here against the Mariners. Guardians are going to walk this thing off. We're all done. 2-1 final. Big win there for Cleveland. They will beat the Kansas City Royals 2-1 as they get a victory there in a walk-off fashion. So those are the 3. Ducks money line today against Nashville, Marlins money line against the Reds, and the Rangers money line against the Seattle Mariners tonight. NBA, notice how we didn't have anything on the association card today. Do want to hit a couple of notes, though, before we get out of here. First off, we did get the update a couple of minutes ago, like 30 minutes ago. No LeBron James tonight for the Los Angeles Lakers. They are 18.5-point underdogs at home against the Oklahoma City Thunder. This speaks to what we have hit on with the Denver Nuggets and where they are in the standings. Denver has to be sitting back and feeling pretty good. The fact that they are solidifying their spot as the 3 seed potentially looks very likely that the Lakers are going to take a loss as 18.5-point favorites tonight. So one of the many big point spreads we've seen down the stretch here. But either way, no LeBron James is the headline for the Los Angeles Lakers. Extremely shorthanded with their 3 top players all out today. We do have a couple of short point spreads tonight, but not a lot of them worth really diving into. Chicago, with a lengthy injury report, is a 6-point favorite on the road against Washington. Milwaukee, with all of the drama surrounding this team, how about that latest expose on the Bucks today? They're a 2.5-point favorite on the road against Brooklyn. Doc Rivers showing his resume to players in locker rooms. Bobby Portis screaming at guys. This team's falling apart at the seams, and right now they're a favorite on the road against Brooklyn. The highest leverage matchup, 2 of them that are worth pointing out, both in the Eastern Conference. Toronto, we've seen a flip of favorites here from the overnight of Toronto as a 1.5-point dog to a 1.5-point favorite, total of 240.5. And Charlotte getting some play here against Boston. Some spots open 6.5 in favor of the Celtics. We're down to 4.5 in favor of Boston, total of 221.5. Some would call it a slight revenge spot here. And the thing to track tonight, whether or not Cooper Flagg is going to be able to get over his points, rebounds, and assists once more. Last 2 games, usage rate of 39%, 57 shot attempts. It has been absolutely insane to see what he's been able to do. Very clearly gunning for Rookie of the Year. All right, that'll do it for us tomorrow. Kelly Bidlin will be with us. We'll continue to look ahead to Augusta and the Masters, see what Kelly likes, some top 10s, top 5s, and more. We'll also dive into what is a really good card in the NHL with this high leverage spot. That'll be tomorrow. Coming up next, though, follow the money. The boys got you for the next 3 hours. We'll see you.